CIG has just surpassed many of our expectations by showing off the first successful test of server meshing. By connecting two servers running Pyro and Stanton, using the jump points as a gateway for players to travel between the servers. This innovative technology will usher in one of the biggest evolutions seen in an MMO, and even the gaming industry, and much of this is due to the major strides that CIG has been making in the last year. And while the game has tons of amazing tech that they've been developing over the last 12 years, the game still experiences a myriad of bugs, crashes, and poor performance. This is in large part because each shard with its millions of game systems are all tied together on one dedicated game server. In order to fully reach the vision that CIG has for the future of Star Citizen, they've needed the capability to link servers together to get better performance and stability that would allow them to expand the game further and increase the amount of players on each shard. In today's video, we'll be discussing what server meshing is, why it is such a critical part of the tech of Star Citizen, and how the future of gaming will evolve with CIG creating this revolutionary technology. Nothing will be the same if server meshing is successful, and it will further evolve into dynamic server meshing that will make the game even bigger than many of us could possibly imagine. So join us today as we discuss how this will affect the future of Star Citizen and gaming. In the early years of Star Citizen, when we were first launched into the universe, in an area around Crusader in 2.0, the server cap began with around 24 players. This low population count limited the scale of the game, even in a small area around the planetary system of Crusader. Upon the release of 3.0, we saw the server cap be raised to 50, which gave us access to the surfaces of Yela, Daymar, and Selin. While it was exciting to many, it became clear that as the scope of the game and player base continued to grow, CIG would need to figure out a solution that would increase the player capacity, server performance, and stability. There were many pieces for the foundation of the game that were all equally as important, such as object container streaming and persistent entity streaming. And server meshing was part of the final pillar of the game that would affect everything. Without this piece, we may have continued to play Star Citizen with a few hundred other players for the foreseeable future. And this would have been one of the biggest hurdles to get more players into the game. Between the development of Squadron 42 being a priority, the development of all new tech systems needed to build the game faster, switching over to a newer version of the game engine, and the development of so many different tools and technologies that are integral into the game and its future for the next decade, Star Citizen's release of Pyro and server meshing, along with many other features, has continually been pushed back year after year. However, after a recent shift with Squadron 42 being feature and content complete, CitizenCon 2023 delivering tons of positive information, and development shifting to Star Citizen, the game is seemingly beginning to take off rather quickly. Server meshing is a game-changing technology that CIG's lead programmer, Paul Reindel, has been working on since the game entered the realm of becoming a seamless, living and breathing MMO. This technology allows for multiple servers to be interconnected and distributes the load of specific solar system regions or different aspects of the game that enable players to seamlessly travel between them. In essence, server meshing allows for CIG to connect 2, 3, or even someday countless servers to work together as a shard where players can freely travel from one system to another, seamlessly and without any loading screens. A shard is essentially the universe that allows players connected to the database to be able to see each other, regardless of which server a player is attached to. This coveted tech is the holy grail of MMO games, and one that has the potential to change the future of Star Citizen and gaming forever by possibly allowing tens of thousands of players to all play together in the same server across multiple star systems. And with the latest test in evocati, we finally got our first real, tangible proof of what the future of Star Citizen could look like. CIG enabled the jump point between Stanton and Pyro and increased the shard's player capacity to 400. While Pyro had no working missions for most players, and jump points had only the basic gray box visuals, most players experienced similar server performance as seen in the PU, and very little to no issues transiting through the jump point, apart from entering backwards and experiencing a slight spike upon exiting. Many evocati testers stated that they honestly did not expect this test to go as smoothly as it did, but they were very impressed and said that even going through a gray box jump point was a really exciting moment. The other benefit to server meshing is the replication layer that will add crash recovery so that when a server does crash, we recover from it quickly. And with recent tests, many evocati testers have seen the servers successfully recover within about 2 minutes, which for an alpha is a fairly acceptable time frame. The biggest goal now with server recovery should be to get that number down even further so that the most we see is no more than 20 to 30 seconds. When server meshing is finally introduced into the game, we will finally be able to play the lawless system of Pyro that has been long awaited. Server capacity will once again be increased for more of you to play together than we've ever seen in Star Citizen. More battles will take place in Pyro than what was possible in Stanton due to its lawless nature and rampant crime. And new and unique missions and alien worlds will be added for players to explore. This higher server capacity that CIG will add to Pyro will eventually allow servers to handle specific zones to increase performance, raise the server population capacity even further, increase the amount of AI on a server, and potentially even more. This will lead to a smoother gaming experience for players, as well as a reduced latency and lag. Additionally, it will enable them to create more complex environments with larger populations, resulting in a fuller, more cohesive experience. But this tech is more than just increasing the player cap and performance and adding more AI. It's the tech necessary for allowing greater expansion of the galaxy by one day opening up jump points to systems like Nyx, Terra, Odin, and over 96 more systems by the tech evolving into what is known as dynamic server meshing. This would give CIG the ability to spin up servers to support massive capital ships like the Idris, Javelin, Kraken, and even Bengal. It's even possible that dynamic server meshing could further improve the server performance even more and will further allow CIG to have many servers handle a single system. Dynamic server meshing will be the answer to the age-old question: how many players could we see on one shard? The potential answer to this question, with recent tests allowing 400 players on a server, has me extremely hopeful for the future. How many players do you think we could ultimately see on one shard? 1,000? 10,000? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Recently, I was allowed to sit down with a longtime friend of mine in the org and asked him some questions on his experience in the evocati test last week, and this is what he had to say.
So Terraphon, you were recently part of evocati testing in server meshing and jump points. What were your thoughts before you entered the jump point?
If I had to explain what I was thinking, it was a combination of excitement and anxiety at the same time, right? Excitement that finally, after years of being a part of the Star Citizen community, being a member of evocati, etc., I'm finally going to get to jump through a jump point to another system. Mixed with the anxiety of, I really hope the servers don't crash before I get there, right? So yeah, lots of excitement, lots of hopefulness, and that just one little sort of feeling of please don't let it 30K while I'm on my way there.
Yeah, no kidding. That would be one of the worst experiences when you're just going through the jump point and the server's just like, yeah, nope. What was your initial reaction when you passed the gate into the wormhole for the very first time?
So I'll start off with just a quick brief description of what happened, because it's germane to how I reacted. When I first entered the wormhole, my ship actually started to turn sideways, right? It started like turning clockwise. And as a longtime sim pilot, my immediate instinct was, I have to correct this. I need to be flying straight, and I need to be flying down the center of the system. Now, even though the developers had said the mini game portion of this where you have to navigate the wormhole isn't instituted yet, there's still that part of my brain that said you have to stay down the middle, right? You can't allow yourself to stray. So honestly, probably 90% of my conscious thought was devoted to that, to just staying in the center of the pipe. The other 10% was sort of devoted to what's it going to look like when I come out of this, and hoping that when I did come out, I wasn't going to have to, dodge a space station, a bunch of debris, which, by the way, I ended up having to do. Somebody in a Carrack apparently blew up as they were coming out of the jump point, and so as I came out, there was debris right in front of me, and I ended up scraping, I think it was the nose of the Carrack, as I desperately tried to dodge out of the way thing. But yeah, really, most of my thought was stay in the center of the pipe, and what's it going to look like when I come out.
Gotcha. And I think you made this reference earlier. You said it was kind of like a scene from the earlier, most recent Star Trek series, correct?
Yeah, that first movie where the Romulans had attacked and the Enterprise warps, and when they come out of warp, they're in that big, debris field. That's kind of what I felt like when I came out, because here's this blown up Carrack right in front of me. And so, yeah, I immediately started maneuvering to try to get away from the debris. Fortunately, I didn't end up slamming into something and getting killed, but it definitely felt like that when I was coming out, like remembering that scene from the movie. I guess I give Sulu a run for his money, because I managed to dodge everything just like he did.
Awesome. And that's one of those really organic moments that very few games can really do, and most people don't know that haven't played, because they've never experienced that. Like, I wouldn't say it's specific to Star Citizen, but it really is unique in a lot of ways to this game, of how something so organic can just happen out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is. And stuff like that, especially as the Star Citizen universe grows, is going to become more and more common, I think, where we're just going to come out of jump points and find blown up ships, or come around the side of an asteroid and run into a small Van Duel raiding party or something. Just these little organic emergent gameplay things are going to become more and more common as the game develops.
So you said that you felt anxious during that whole entire experience. Did you ever feel overwhelmed, or was it just continuing that anxiety until you exited the jump point?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I never felt overwhelmed, but there was certainly, as I was going, I mean, there's a constant sort of low level of anxiety, which is really around trying to keep the ship in the center of the wormhole, because I was moving all over the place as the wormhole twists and turns, just again trying to kind of stay in the center of the pipe. But there's a point at which your instincts kind of take over, and again, having been a long time sim pilot, you kind of get a feel for what you need to do anyway. So most of it was kind of automatic, and the anxiety never got to be too much. But of course, as I'm going further and further into the wormhole, and I hate to say this, CIG, I really hate to say this, but the further I got in, the more anxiety around a potential 30K grew. Right? And I just kept thinking, please don't 30K. Let me get through the wormhole and get to the other side. Please do not 30K. And fortunately, it did not.
Awesome. And at what point did it dawn on you that the gravity of what this meant for the game, and what did it mean to you during that moment?
So I would say once we got the notice that they were going to be doing the jump point testing, that's when the initial feeling kind of started about, man, this is the culmination of years worth of effort and years worth of development time and years of testing, and like, here we go kind of feeling. So once I got in front of the wormhole and I'm looking into it and I'm knowing what's on the other side, right? I'm going to enter this thing and I'm going to come out in a completely different system. I think that's probably when it really hit, right? Is, again, all these years of development and all these years of testing are culminating in this moment of, I'm finally going to travel through a wormhole into another system, and all of the things that means for the development and continuation of the game. because it's huge. The implications of being able to travel from one system to another with no load screens is amazing, and it means I think more for the game as a whole than a lot of past big changes put together.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So I know that we both saw the letter for the chairman, all of what that encompassed. I don't want to get too much into the weeds on that today until later on, but what do you ultimately think is next?
Now it's a big question. You know, as we know, CIG has gone through some pretty dramatic changes lately, with Squadron 42 hitting feature complete and going into its optimization and, you know, basically gold pass phase. That's huge because a ton of resources are shifting over to Star Citizen, and that means there's going to be faster development and, you know, faster growth overall. The future, what does the future hold? Well, the big one is 3.23, and the things that are coming in 3.23, when we look at, for example, the roadmap, the distribution centers, star map, FPS map, new mobiGlass, EVA 2.0, personal interaction experience, personalized hangars, elevators, all of that stuff. And you and I have kind of talked about this before. All of the things that are happening in 3.23 are, kind of, in my opinion, bigger than every other patch that's ever come out put together, right? This is it's a paradigm shift in the game development and gameplay. And moving forward, again, not getting into the weeds with the letter from the chairman, but the things that are coming, that are on the horizon, are all big, massive changes that are going to dramatically affect the way the Star Citizen universe is presented and played. So for me, I'm super excited. I'm like nail biting, edge of my seat, first waiting for 3.23, and then waiting to see how things develop through the new roadmaps, the things that are talked about in letter for the chairman, you know, moving forward, base building, and all of the cargo missions and new economic things that are going to be happening, just all of it. That's where it kind of starts to get overwhelming to think, like, I've been here since 2012, and the things that are going to start happening in quick succession now that are all bigger than everything before, it's mind-numbing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree with you. That's one of the things that I'm really excited for is 3.23 and 4.0. But I think from here, it is going to be, every single change is going to be monumental from now on.
Yeah, it kind of has to be. The development of the game and all of the tools and everything that they've had to build on their own to get us where we are currently has taken a lot of time. And now, with all the new resources and all of the new tools that they've built over the years, and the fact that all of the assets and all of the work that they put into Squadron 42 are now available to move into Star Citizen, yeah, I think every step forward is going to be a huge step forward.
Well, Terraphon, I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with us and going over your experiences in the evocati test. I really appreciate it. I can't wait for all of us to get our hands on that jump point on Pyro on all of 3.23 because it's going to be absolutely insane. So thank you so much for talking to us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me to come do this, and looking forward to do it again if the situation ever arises. And to all you viewers out there in YouTube land, stay safe out there. We'll see you in the verse.
Static server meshing is one of the final pieces of Star Citizen to make it the MMO of the decade. And with recent tests being such a major success, the many features coming in Alpha 3.23 that includes the replication layer, star map and mobi-glass updates, mini-map, and much more, Star Citizen is entering a new era that many players are getting extremely excited about. While there are many other gameplay features, solar systems, new ships, and new tech such as dynamic server meshing, that will potentially link dozens of servers together for each solar system, there is no doubt that if CIG is successful in their endeavors, it will truly be a game people want to play for the next 10 to 20 years. As many of us watch and wait, the biggest question is when will it be released to the PU? The chances are high that we will see server meshing and Pyro this year, which will enhance the game and provide CIG with more information as they work on dynamic server meshing. The biggest concern I have is not whether CIG will be able to pull it off, but rather what the client-side performance will look like during a full-scale battle. In the future, will our FPS suffer drastically, or will features such as DLSS, advancements in computer technology, dynamic server meshing spooling up for large ships, and the instancing of those large ships, and the optimization of the game be sufficient enough to allow us to see hundreds of ships and thousands of players fighting against each other? This question can only be answered with time and hard work, but after seeing the massive steps that CIG has taken in the last year, their increased transparency, and the successes that they have achieved recently, I am very optimistic about the future of the game, and for many of us, it means being able to play one of the most ambitious titles ever released. Players will also be given the opportunity to test different mesh configurations with multiple servers per system dedicated to entire planets and moons, as well as landing zones, making this one of the most monumental years for Star Citizen, and one that I am proud to be here for. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think about the success of server meshing and your overall thoughts about 2024. And remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you want to join the channel and support the creation of these videos, then consider becoming a member and get special perks such as loyalty badges, priority replies, and more. And if you want more information on what Master Modes means beyond 3.23, you'll want to check out this video. Fly safe, pilots, and I will see you in the next video. Havoc out.